The Honorable Governor for Makueni County, Professor Kivutha Kibwana, thank you so much for making time for us. Your second term as governor of Makueni comes to an end in 2022. What do you do after that?
I become president of Kenya August 2022.
Why? Why do you want to run for president?
Not why I want to run for president, but why am I running for president?
Yes. Oh, you're already in the race, you say.
I'm already,
yes.
I'm already in the race. And indeed, even in this conversation, some of the reasons have become apparent. If you look at the leaders that we have, minus of course President Uhuru, because he will not be president 2022. If you look at those leaders, at one point or another, they have been in the top executive. Where I mean, whether president, whether deputy president, whether or vice president, or whether
the former
prime minister and deputy prime ministers. And when you are in that position, and therefore you lead, the major political parties and all that kind of stuff, you have the ability to introduce transformation in the country. You have the ability to really work to make people be in a good place. And so, because from independence up to now, we are still struggling with that. But I believe some of what we have done in Makueni, where I have been a governor, I think there have been some important experiments, like whether it's universal health care, whether it's getting factories in a rural place, whether it is a public participation. There have been some important experiments which I think can be transplanted to the national level. I think we are not doing enough for the young people, although there is Kazi, Kazi, Mtaani and all that kind of stuff. I think that it is possible, if we tame corruption, to have resources which are going to enable us, for example, to do what in India they do. In India, they have an act they call Mahatma Gandhi employment guarantee, which means that anybody who is not in a job will, courtesy of the government, be given 100 days of work. And they will be paid. Of course, it's not the high-end salary, but they will be paid. So that for a third of the year, you have some job. I think that can be done in Kenya.
Yes.
But it means that we have to tame corruption. So
exactly. How do you do it? How do you do it if you are president, or if you become president in 2022? How do you tame corruption? You
tame corruption by... it's not easy, of course. We must admit it's not easy because it's entrenched. And some people, it is in some people's blood. So it is not necessarily easy, and you might start threatening some people who are also powerful in their own ways. But I think we would have to agree. First of all, the law says there should be no corruption, so you enforce the law. But before you enforce the law, you make sure that you are not corrupt yourself. Because if you are corrupt, then they'll tell you, what are you doing? You are just targeting us.
Exactly.
Yes. And even your friends, you have to tell your friends, we are not going to be friends if you get involved. Even family. We are not going to be friends about this, because this is not our money. This is public money. So it's that resolve. And it has been done in Southeast Asia. Some places they do it even in a crude way, because they shoot people, and that's not rule of law. And even that happened in Ghana again. But I think it's a question of saying that I will not want to be corrupt myself, and then people see that that is true. When we came into government with Kibaki, the people were arresting police people because they knew that now this was new. So the people of Kenya are ready to help you deal with corruption, and our president did start, to do that. But you have also to make sure that you have backup, and it's something that you socialize people. And you might not if you say that now we have drawn a line on the sand, going forward, this is not accepted and you will go to jail. And then you say, okay, in the past, what do we do? Past corruption. And of course, like now, we are even doing a bit of limited asset recovery. You know, you look at the situation and you say that there are certain things that have happened which are not right. You will bring back the money to the country. And you have to tell people, you know, you have some money and we might not, you know, really ask you too much. Where have you got it from? But invest it. Make, you know, get people to work, get young people to work. If now you are not able, like, to really use the asset recovery law in certain situations, but I think when you send a signal that this will not be accepted and people will be punished, elsewhere it has worked, and there's no reason it can't work.
How do you send that signal? Because we have no shortage of laws and institutions to fight corruption, really. It's more of a goodwill, and also the people in authority are the ones who are actually entrenching this graft issue. So it's difficult fighting it when the people who should be fighting it are the ones doing it, really. But how do you do that?
For example, in my county, and I'm not saying that my county is free of corruption, but I was ready to leave office because the county assembly members told me that we must eat together. And I said that this money is not a lot.
Yes.
It's little, and it should be reserved for our people to the extent that is possible. Of course, we'll have our legal salary, allowances, blah, blah, blah. So I said I really don't want to be in a government where this is the norm. And we were ready because the people themselves collected. You see, when you involve the people also, and they know that now this is the agenda, there's no corruption, their money will be protected. So they collected signatures and took them to the gate of the office of the president. Nyaoga was appointed by the president and came and listened to them, and they said that we want this government dissolved. You know, we want fresh elections midway. And Nyaoga recommended that the government should be dissolved. But the president said, you know, this is the beginning of devolution. If we do this, we will have all fires, many fires all over the country. And so the president spared. Yes. But when we came to elections again, 2017, only one MCA came back.
I remember that. I covered that.
And that one, yes. And that one was, he was unwell. His father was unwell, so he was not involved in those things. So I think where there is a will, there is a way. And later I said that we will put paper into our county money, so that if somebody tries to take it without the proper, you know, procedure, then they will be coughing and doing all sorts of things, and people will know that that person has, you know, and the people there say, the people say, Governor ameweka pilipili kwa pesa.
Okay, so you're getting a lot of, you know, positive reactions from the public and of course other leaders on what you're doing in Makueni, on agribusiness, on development, on youth affairs, on, you know, other issues around development, really. How do you bring that to the national level and fix the economy? Because that's a problem. How do you expand that to the national level if you become president in 2022 and fix the economy? How do you do that?
You know, when you are the president of a country, like, for example, devolution, I would say to myself, I want to support the governors, the county governments, to deliver. So even without changing the constitution, without even any law, I would say that the amount which goes to counties will be increased, because in the constitution there's only a floor of 15%, and so you can change that. You can get, you know, the cabinet to change that. You can get parliament to now say that this, you know, you approve, so that now becomes budget. And people have been talking about 45%, and in other countries it even goes beyond 45%. So you can do that in the next financial year without even a constitutional change whatsoever. Of course, if the floor is included in the constitution, it is good, so that somebody else doesn't come later and is able to make it less. So if this money goes to the counties, if you make sure that the functions that they do, those functions are done, and then, you know, you go to the counties, you know, there is a big thing that has happened, has been done, you celebrate with the governors there and the people there. So you really empower devolution. And that will unlock a lot of potential, including private sector. Like in Ghana, they have about 200 districts. And the current president said that there will be a factory in each of those districts, so that there is employment, the resources, there is value addition and all that kind of stuff. That is something that you can do. And then as I said earlier, this youth thing, making sure that the environment because if investors know that they are not going to be asked for 10% and for all those things, and there's a different environment, and their investments are protected, and that clean business is promoted, even for our own internal investors, then you begin to get a turnaround. So, you know, when I finish the day and I go to rest, I am seeing this vision, and I'm saying to myself that it is, of course, what will give us a bit of a problem is like the debt, the public debt, because you know, debts are debts. You have to pay so that you are not excluded in the international community. You can ask to take more time to pay and all that kind of stuff. But just like happened when Kibaki came into power, within a short time he found a ramshackle of an economy, and within a short time the country responded, and there was life injected into its bloodstream. So in the same way, where we are, because we are not necessarily in terms of the economy and so on, it's not like 2002-3. I think it is easy, of course, with others, because the truth of the matter also is, when you become a president, you will need parliament, because within parliament there are political parties, and if you don't have support there, because one party might not have the majority, if you don't have support there, then some of the things you're thinking about, the vision, will not be actualized.
There are many who might argue that you're too nice, you know, so laid back, a gentleman, and that you lack, quote unquote, perhaps the bad manners that you need to for this level of politics. What would you say about that?
We must make sure, we must banish bad manners from African politics. That will not help us at all. People have moved the world like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, or Wangari Maathai. Name them. They have moved the world because they were good-mannered. So this idea, and of course it's an idea, as you correctly say, which is current. And I think it's an idea to protect people who subscribe to bad manners in politics and in the economy. I think we need better manners, we need ethics, we need morality, we need spirituality to really move our countries forward. But I am not somebody who is laid back. If I was, in the first round as governor of Makueni, I would have given up. I would have said that these guys are too strong. I would not have fought tooth and nail the way that I did. And because the way in which people kind of fight is different. Because I believe if you have Wanjiku behind you, with you, then those bad manners will not triumph. Nobody, you know, you will triumph. And I think that's where I am looking forward, not only for our country, Kenya, but for the entire continent, so that leaders know that they must mobilize the entire citizenry and go forward with it. Many people don't know that when in the 90s we were making the Kenyan constitution, I was the chairperson of the pro-democracy movement. And it was not easy because Moi was not a pushover. And even once when I did a research on the anatomy of corruption in Kenya in the early 90s, I got into big trouble.
Yes.
So during that period, when even those demonstrations and so on, I, of course with others, but I was the spokesperson, that meant that there is that inner strength, which I mobilized again in Makueni, and I want to mobilize that for Kenya. And of course, working with others, that is always reform-minded, people are inclined to change.
Again, for this level of politics, what do you know about the deep state? We've heard about it.
The deep state?
Yes. Because if you are running for president, you will encounter them, Governor.
No, the one thing that I know is we need to change our public bureaucracy, our civil servants. Whether it is in the security level, whether it is in treasury, whether it is, you know, all the public servants. Because ideally in a democracy, the public bureaucracy is a very critical element. And indeed, in countries abroad, this public service actually runs the government. And sometimes even when politicians mess up or they are not doing well, that bureaucracy is the engine for running the country. And I think one needs to restore its confidence so that they know that you will not be punished because you have done things that are proper or you have refused, you know, to do certain things that you are ordered to do. So one must first of all, you know, correct that anomaly so that people know when they work, they are free and it's okay. Now, of course, what is called the deep state, in my view, and I hope I'll have occasion to write about this, what is called the deep state is people who capture the official systems and want to command them or commandeer them to do things that are not right. For example, to say that tenders will only be given to so and so. To say that, you know, this governor or this minister, let them be taken to court because they're not listening to us, or whatever, you know, they haven't done or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. You see, so it's a corruption of the state that we know should work for everybody. And it's just a few people, they may be very strong, you know, and sometimes they're joined by people also from the private sector who don't want to do clean business. Exactly. And some of them might even be in, you know, in drugs and stuff like that. So the moment we restore the rule of law, those errant people find less and less space to operate. But I think we are over-dramatizing this thing of the deep state.
Surely you're a former cabinet minister and also an advisor to the president. You might or must have experienced or encountered them at some point. So you surely must know
if you have a human being who wants to get tenders wrongly, who even wants to see whether they can get money direct from the central bank, who wants to be involved in drugs, who wants to be involved in those shady things, I think for us to say that they're so powerful that they can overrun everybody else, I think that can sometimes be an excuse. So in my own view, we are over-dramatizing this question of the deep state. And if people do wrong things in a democracy, they just need to be taken before the law and they're sorted out.
Let's talk about Okambani politics. So you're running for president. The Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper Party leader, former vice president, is also running for president. And we've heard of points of conflict and friction between you and him and perhaps the rest of the governors from your region. What is that like? And has he reached out to you upon you declaring that you're running for president? Perhaps to...
You see, the reason I'm running for president is because I believe I have what it takes to be a contributor to Kenya's change. And I'm looking at the all of Kenya because whatever geographical place you come from, you will not be able to win any election. So my perspective is I'm a project of Wanjiku. I want to really say that we can change our country. All these years and all these people who have been around, they have not changed this even recently as much as, you know, it could be changed. And therefore, my platform is I want, like in Tanzania, where all of us are one group. There's one Kenyan tribe, not 46 of them. Of course, I respect culture because culture is very, very important, and indigenous knowledge and all that. But if I am told that I'm going to be presented as somebody of one community, I think you won't go anywhere anyway. And in the past, people have done that, and they have not gone anywhere. So anybody from my area has the right, has the democratic right to ask to be a president. Anybody else from any other part of Kenya has the right to ask to be anything. And it is up to Wanjiku, the Wanjiku nation, to decide. And I believe I will convince them that we have done these ethnic coalitions, they are not working, and as a result, we really want now to do a pro-people thing. And my campaign, we will do it together, because even in terms of the ideas of what we should do to change our country, I'm in the process of, you know, getting views from everywhere in our country, and from sectors, and even from the communities, so that we can crowdsource, first of all, what are the problems, what should we do to change, even from the diaspora. I'm also engaging the diaspora so that we can do that. And I will even crowd fund so that we, you know, people volunteer. Already people are volunteering for this campaign. So we are doing this differently.
Okay. Has he reached out? Have you spoken with him, perhaps, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, on perhaps your ambitions and his, and how you can work things around that?
I'm going to be the president of Kenya, so I must be able to talk to all Kenyans, every Kenyan. Yes. Without, I can't, you know, that's a responsibility that you have. And even before August 2022, I have, you know, I have the right to talk to everybody and make them comfortable.
As closing remarks, what do you think makes you different from everyone else, that if you're running for president, everyone else needs to listen and care?
I like to listen to people. They have a story, and I listen hard. And I like people. I like to be with people, whether they are from quote low class. I really love that interaction, and whether they are educated, whether they are not educated, you know, I love that, and I get to listen and to know what their problems are, and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much, Governor for Makueni, Kivutha Kibwana, for making time for us.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.